So on your slideshow, slide 10, 9 tells you to read the rest of the novel Wednesday. Then I want you to think about the quote on the next slide. Ben remembered reading about curators and Wonderstruck and thought about what it meant to curate your own life, as his dad had done here. What would it be like to pick and choose the objects and stories that would go in your own cabinet? How would Ben curate his own life? And then, thinking about his museum box and his house and his books and the secret room, he realized he'd already begun doing it. Maybe, thought Ben, we're all cabinets of wonders. So I want you to think about that. And I want you to think about Ben's dad and Ben's grandmother, Rose, and what types of events they chose to hide little things and trinkets inside of the giant New York City diorama that is in the museum that she's in right now. Okay. So, what if you were to curate your own life? What if you were to curate your own cabinet of wonders? What events in your life would you choose? Funeral, a birth, a big move? I want you to also think about the objects that would represent those different things that you would put in a cabinet to represent those life events. Okay. So, as you watch this video is going to be right here. You are going to be creating your own cabinet of wonders that represents your specific life events. Now, here's the problem this is what we call abstract thinking because it's not cut and dried. For example, if I said that I was born in Lafayette, Louisiana, I could not use a picture of Lafayette, Louisiana. Is that an object that I would use to represent my life? No. The point of the Cabinet of Wonders in the early days of museums was to have trinkets and little items inside that would be an item of interest. That as someone walked by and they looked at it, they would say, what does that mean? What does that represent? And you, as the cabinet's storyteller, would pick up the object and be able to tell a story to the audience or the, ticket holders of your museum or cabinet of wonders to explain to them what that event meant through an object, okay? So I'm going to give you an example. You're going to click on slide 13 and you'll see a few objects here that are cabinets of wonder boxes, okay? Each of them has a text box. It's going to be exactly like the very beginning of the school year where we had to do an all about me screen and you picked icons that best represented you, right? This time I want us to think about objects that would represent ourselves, okay? So the first thing, go along with, if you're confused and don't know which ones to choose, do what Ben's dad did. First thing was where he was born. Now, she was lucky to be able to have actual replicas or dioramas of the buildings in New York City that represented the different events in his life. We're not going to have that. Instead, we've just got boxes inside of our museum. So let's think about it first. She talked about his birth. I was born in Lafayette, Louisiana. So instead of just putting a box with the state of Lafayette in it, I'm going to think about what object I could use that represents that. So to use these exactly like we did at the beginning of the school year, you're going to click on the box, two-finger click, and go to replace image. Now, I don't have an image for this, so I'm going to search my web. And I'm going to search up crawfish because crawfish are extremely popular in South Louisiana. Now, we're not going to worry about removing the background. If you know how to remove backgrounds, that's fine. You can do it, but it's a long process. You have to use a separate website. We're not going to go through it. And I'm going to try to find an object that would work. Okay. I'm going to double click it and it's going to fill my space. Okay. I can resize it, but ultimately that's my object. Okay. Now, I could be a little bit more specific. Let's retry that because would I put a real crawfish in a cabinet of wonder? No. So I might put crawfish toy. And that yields me nothing. Crawfish. There's a painting. That'd be interesting. Okay, regardless, crawfish, it is what it is. We're good. So now whenever I discuss this, I'll explain that to you in another video tomorrow. You'll use the object to be able to explain specific topics. I'm not going to tell you the topics. If you're confused, I want you to use what Ben and Rose went through in the previous section of the book that you just read. But think about things that are important to you in your life. Think about specific life events that changed you or made you who you are today. You can also think about character traits. For example, think about Ben and his mom. She used to call him a turtle, right? Why did she call him a turtle? Because he was shy. Inside of his museum box, he had that shell turtle that ended up being his dad's, that his dad gave his mom whenever he met her. So that could be something that you choose, a character trait. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 ish. You don't have to fill all of them up necessarily, but you do have to have more than 3, okay? Same thing with Rose and Ben's discussion about Danny's life. That he had a lot more than 3 because it was about a lot of significant events in his life. Where he went to school, where she put a pencil, his tooth that he first lost inside of the grocery store that he lost it in. Different life events that you can think of, different character traits, different things that you might want to insert. That's what I want you to think about. But remember, you're finding an object or a symbol that represents each of those items or life events that you choose, okay? Once you're done filling it up, the next slide will explain how you're going to present it, okay? You can use all of Thursday to do this, and you can use a lot of Friday to do this too. I want you to focus a lot of your energy on making this really good. But make sure right before you present, you press the update button. But do not press the update button until all of your images are input into these boxes. There's a really interesting reason for that. You're going to just have to trust me on it because it's going to make your slideshow extra cool. But do not press update. It's going to be in this top corner until you're done inputting all of your images, okay? All right, I'll talk to you tomorrow.